Finally over. 7 hours, and I watched 2, maybe 3 minutes beyond that just to see if there was anything extra. 7 hours. I saw the kickoff, and I'm not going to talk about all the kickoff. I'm only going to talk about the most essential stuff, but that was 7 hours of content. My gosh. But I got to make this very clear to people who have seen other reviewers from last night who saw TakeOver New Orleans. And I saw the Lex Man saying that this was the best show they ever produced. I can't agree with him. I'm not going to say that New Orleans TakeOver was bad. It was a great show. It was a great show. But I can't say it was the greatest show ever produced. That just isn't right. It's foolish to think it was the great show ever produced. There's always something that's wrong with every show that's ever produced by any wrestling promotion. And that one had problems. Lack of selling enough. And one match needed to be on the main card of WrestleMania, or at least a kickoff show. And that really is the truth. Now, if you compare this WrestleMania to TakeOver New Orleans, some parts of it, some parts of New Orleans TakeOver were way better than this WrestleMania. There's no lie about that. But I'm not going to say that TakeOver was better than WrestleMania. It wasn't. But I'm not going to say WrestleMania was perfect either. It was a good show. I'm not saying it was great. It was a good show in many cases, but not a great show. This show was not great. It was good. It was easily passable in many places. But there were things in this show that was so fucking stupid that it was nauseating to watch. I'm saying it right now. It was freaking nauseating to see certain things that was beyond stupid. Let's talk about the kickoff show. The Cruiserweight title with Cedric Alexander versus Ali. I gotta say this, that Ali's ring attire with that mask and that light on his hand looked like Dragon Ball Z. It was freaking awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it was so freaking cool. Was the match good? It was okay. It was very passable. There was a great reverse 450 splash. Very good from Ali, but he didn't win. And pretty much, I believe it was Cedric who retained. Was it Cedric who retained? I think it was. Cedric Alexander retained the title. I could be wrong. It's hard to remember. There's so much content. I want to make this clear. If I botch some of the shows, some of the matches, and I get them reversed, I'm sorry. I'm tired. It's 7 hours of content to remember, even with notes. So if I get this wrong, I'm sorry. But Ali did not win, if I remember. And it was still a good match. I just loved Ali's ring attire coming in with that light. This was good. I was alright with it. It was a good show. Showing between the two. Let's go to the Women's Battle Royal. And here's the thing that got me. The first thing that got me. Why would you introduce Becky Lynch? And the last person that was introduced, who was that? I'm trying to remember. Who was it? Bayley. Bayley was the last person to be introduced with her theme music. And it was Becky Lynch that was introduced with her music. Why did you do that? Why? Why would you let Becky have her intro and Bayley have her intro and everyone else in between nothing? You should have let them just all come out or be in the ring. I felt that was disrespectful to all the women. Now, this was the thing that got me. No, two things that got me. Two things that got me. The first one wasn't about how the match quality was. It was a battle royal. There's no way it's going to be perfect. It wasn't 100% bad. The NXT women were really giving a great showing. Especially Bianca Belair. That's my girl right now. I know Ember Moon. I love Ember. But as an up-and-coming, Bianca Belair looks like she is going to be legit. If you guys don't believe me, just tell me below. I haven't watched NXT in a while. I know I've said it. I didn't lie about it in New Orleans TakeOver review. I hadn't watched it in almost 2 months. It's hard to watch it with all the stuff I'm going through and what I'm doing. So I do remember that Bianca Belair looks like she will be a legit contender for the NXT title when she's ready. She's still very young in the business. But the NXT crowd looked good. Here's another thing. This is one of the two glaring problems. the NXT wasn't. Bayley and Sasha. Why were they in that match? Why did you let them have the shine at the end? Why? And it wasn't even a shine. They needed their own match. I can understand hearing the rumors that Bayley and Sasha went to management and said, we don't like how this is going. Why don't you give us our own match? And they refused to do anything and threw them into this battle royal as a punishment. This was a freaking punishment to them. This is how I feel. This was a punishment. A freaking punishment for them. And that was sad. Now, this is a thing that is a double-edged sword for me. The other thing that happened. She's in my face. My baby's in my face. Naomi Knight won the freaking women's battle royal. What? 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 Oh my gosh. I am so fucking happy that my baby, I talked about her since I started YouTube. Since 2012, and I've said this numerous times, I came on here because of depression. I was inspired by the Off the Ropes show and the British Fist. And one other show that's non-wrestling related. That was completely non-wrestling related, that has gone off the air. And that is the Lennox Action Show. That's a Lennox podcasting. But those are the ones that inspired me to do wrestling reviews. And Naomi was one of the people I've always talked about from the beginning I started YouTube in 2012. I've always said she was underutilized. She won the title last year twice. And now she won a first female battle royal. Now, like I said earlier, this is a double-edged sword. Because when you look at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, it gives you freaking nothing. So I don't know if this is going to give Naomi anything. I don't know. Naomi may have won this because she may be moving to Raw. That's what I'm thinking. But I don't know. I'm so hoping this leads her somewhere. But I don't know. It probably will lead her nowhere. But I am beyond. She's in my face again. I am fucking happy that Naomi Knight, Trinity Fatu, John Fatu's wife, if I ever met her in real life, and I say this clearly to anyone who actually knows her, I'm a fan. I'm not a crazy fan. I'm one that always believed that someone who puts in the work and who shows their real emotion deserves respect. If anyone ever told her to look at this video, Trinity, if you ever saw this, I know I'm just a fan, but I believe in you. I've always felt since the day I saw you in the Funkadactyls with Cameron that you had something special. You showed your true emotions on your sleeve. And I've always appreciated that, and I always believed in you. And I've always loved you as a wrestler and a performer. And I hope this leads you somewhere. If it does not, it hurts. So I'm sorry. That's just, I had to say it. I'm sorry, I had to say it. Now here's the male battle royal. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I predicted this. No one said that's not going to happen. Maybe no one cared because it was during one of my Raw reviews. And I really wasn't feeling well, under depression. And I was kind of sick with these crazy colds because of what's going on in New York. The weather's been so erratic. It's been making me sick. It's been making me depressed and giving me anxiety. Along with normal other stuff. But I did say this, that it was going to happen. I said the best person to get the Battle Royal win, even though it's an incredible stretch, was Matt Hardy. And look who won. At the very end, you got Baron Corbin. You got Matt Hardy. And then you got Bray Wyatt coming out, saving Matt Hardy, and then joining Matt Hardy. That was a what the fuck wrestle moment. That was. And that's a good what the fuck wrestle moment. Finally, we got a WrestleMania moment that no one saw coming. And I will say I am impressed and I like this twist. Everyone in that Superdome liked the twist of finally seeing Bray Wyatt turn face. If he doesn't turn face with this, this was stupid. If this was a one-time thing and he goes back to attacking Matt Hardy just to get him, it was dumb. He needed to turn face, and if this is his true face turn, it was at the right moment, at the right place. I'm hoping this is a real face turn. I'm hoping it is. It needed to be. Now, main card. The IC title match. Finn, Miz, and Seth. Honestly, one major problem, Finn Balor was not the demon. I say it right now. Finn needed to be the demon. Finn not being the demon made him nothing. Because he was nothing, this match felt empty. I'm sorry it did. I'm sorry. Did I forget anything else I wanted to think? Yeah, I even wrote it. Finn looked boring. Because he was not the freaking demon. If you're doing Finn Balor in NXT as the demon, then you pulled Finn Balor out at one time, dealing with Bray Wyatt as the demon. Why not pull out Finn Balor as the demon at WrestleMania? Why didn't you do it? Why? It made no freaking sense not to promote Finn Balor as the demon. And without the demon, this was an ordinary match that I've seen already. That meant nothing. Now, mind you, the one thing that might have happened in between this is the Miz might have... Seeing that the possibility of Miz turning face leads him to a new avenue. If he can pull it off because of his daughter, Morgan Sky. This is where the question is going to be. If he uses his daughter as the catalyst of turning face, the question is, are the WWE going to push him properly as a face, using his daughter as a catalyst for that? Oh, I'm still sick. I don't know. I'm hoping it works, but it's a big question mark if it'll work. Now, I want to get this over with now, because I don't want to drag this out later. This is the one thing that was fucking ridiculous. The most stupidest thing they did in this WrestleMania. I'm sorry. If anyone was happy to see this, you need to reevaluate it. Because it was beyond terrible. During the match with Asuka and Charlotte, and I will be getting to that after this, because I wasn't totally happy with that either. But after that match, John Cena, who was in the audience, who was just sitting there like a fan, just like we knew he would, was approached by a ref and told him something where he jumped from his seat, ran to the back. Later, he comes out ready for a match. Waiting for, we know it had to be The Undertaker. The twist of this was funny because Elias comes out. Now, I gotta say this. That was a nice twist. If it had been Elias that John Cena had faced, it would have been terrible. Having Elias come out, it did his bit, and John Cena just stayed at ringside, would have been better. Honestly, it would have been better. He never came back in. Elias had his moment, then he left. I think would have been great for Elias. And to be honest, even though it didn't help John Cena, it didn't matter. Because seeing what happened afterwards... Look, I am an Undertaker fan. I do love Undertaker. But I was not interested in seeing Undertaker this year. 2 years ago, yes. 3 years ago, hell yeah. It would have been better then. Now, The Undertaker has no streak. He has lost twice. And John Cena is a part-time worker now, which gives no hype. And then worse yet, when you see what happened after Elias got his butt kicked, and you see John Cena not happy that he had this fight with Elias, nailed him, and he seemed disappointed, you wait and see that The Undertaker shows up. I don't have all the shots of his hat and his jacket in the ring. The lightning comes down in his hat and jacket in the ring. And essentially, seeing that, and then seeing The Undertaker come to the ring, and John Cena already ran back to the ring to wait for him, it just seemed clunky. But when you saw the match, it was... I was so disappointed that... Look, Corey Graves and everybody else tried to sell The Undertaker looking perfectly fine. I can't even remember the other two guys' name right now because I'm so disappointed and hurt in how bad The Undertaker looked. He looked like an old man. Look, I'm 47 years old. If I didn't have a bad hip problem, I could still walk really great. With this hip problem, I can't walk the way I used to. I can never walk the normal walk I used to ever again like I was in my 20s or 30s. I'll never walk normally until I get a hip replacement. When I look at The Undertaker, and I look at a guy who did get a hip replacement, he still walks like a man who's injured. And that did not look good. That was number one. Number two, this match was way too short. Due to the fact they weren't willing to bring The Undertaker back during Raw, during SmackDown. Over a 3-week period, they should have built The Undertaker up to do this match. It felt like nothing. So this short freaking match made it worse. And in the end, when John Cena, and you got the picture probably in, I got the picture in my face, where John Cena took the tombstone you see how angry? Now I'm angry. I'm angry. It's off my face. I'm freaking angry. I'm angry to see the tombstone pile driver. I don't care about John Cena's face in The Undertaker's crotch and his dick in his mouth. It just did not fulfill me. I felt cheated that this happened the way it did. No build over a 3-week period. The Undertaker looks still very bad. He couldn't even walk properly. And I know what it's like not being able to walk properly because I have a bad hip problem and I'm never going to walk normal again. And in the end, seeing The Undertaker after that felt empty. It was like he struggled with it. He looked like he just struggled. He didn't look great. He didn't. I'm happy though for Mark Calloway though. I want to say this clearly. This match was shit. I hated it. I was disappointed. But I'm going to say this. If Vince McMahon gave him this match to give him a payout of maybe about $500,000 to $1 million because maybe he got paid a big payment for coming back, I'm happy for him. He gets some extra money for his family and for himself. I'm alright with that in that respect. But it still was disappointing and it fucking pissed me off. Now here's the next match. That was stupid. Disappointing. Charlotte versus Asuka. And I'm going to say this 100%, and I am challenging anyone to tell me, when was the last time you saw Charlotte in a real match with someone she's not familiar with and did it right? Because when it comes down to it, when I saw this match, Asuka carried it. She carried that match. Charlotte didn't look good. And I'm not saying that because I don't like Charlotte. I've never said I hated Charlotte. I've always said Charlotte needs more work. That she has the potential to be a great worker. If she stopped acting like her father and actually trained with her own technique and movesets. Because the only thing I saw was a male version of Ric Flair. And a very pale in comparison. She can't even do the backflip that her father did in the freaking ring. She can't even do it properly. It's sloppy. She hurt herself on her left arm. That wasn't Asuka who did that. That was Charlotte hurting herself going up against Asuka. That shows you how bad she was. And if anyone said Asuka hurt her, tell me what part where. Tell me in the comments below, where in the blue fuck did Asuka cut her arm open? Where? Where did she drive her into? Where? Because as far as I saw, and it was a physical match, Charlotte hurt herself. She hurt herself. And this is the worst thing. 2.5 years of Asuka having a winning streak. Not being beaten by anybody. And then you give up that winning streak at WrestleMania to a woman and a Charlotte Flair who really doesn't gain anything. She gets Asuka. So what? What is she doing? Where is the payout to Asuka? Giving up her streak to Charlotte. Asuka should have won the title by either a Nia Jax or a Mickie James. And I know people would say, what? Nia Jax should have been the one who had the title. Because if Nia Jax had been built properly in the last year, she would have made Asuka's winning streak mean something. Come full circle. That she was able to beat anybody. Especially a well-built monster in a Nia Jax. And then you have Mickie James. The only credible woman who was a 6-time WWE Women's Champion. A true pioneer for women's revolution. She worked with Trish Stratus, she worked with Lita, she worked with Molly Holly, she worked with Victoria. This woman is the most well-known woman in history, and she's been booked like a bitch. And instead of building one of those two up to make Asuka look credible, you have Asuka job to Charlotte, who we gain nothing from. The women's revolution, my fucking ass. If that's true, why is the women battle royal meaning almost nothing? And even though Naomi won it, the one I love as a wrestling fan, it may mean nothing for her in the end. Because they don't treat the women right. And then, let's move on. Let's move on to the other women's match. Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. Which, honestly, even though the people cheered for Nia Jax in the end, they did eventually, that match was dead. That match, make sure my notes, because I am so freaking annoyed and angry. I want to make sure I was correct. Yeah, it was sad. Nia Jax's match was 100% dead in the beginning and dead in the middle, and to a certain extent the crowd began to get behind her, but they couldn't believe that Nia Jax had to struggle against Alexa Bliss. They couldn't believe it. Not until the end did they begin to root for her. But you know why? Because they were willing to see her drive Alexa Bliss through the freaking mat to make it credible. In the end, she did win. But it was such a hollow victory. Because Nia Jax should have been a monster. A monster heel. Not a sympathetic baby face. Hey, you're telling me, and you guys can tell me below if you really like this storyline with Nia Jax. Because the storyline was bullshit. You're telling me that a monster heel like Nia Jax couldn't get the job done for almost a year. Could not win anything. And then when she's treated like shit and treated like a bitch, does she actually win a freaking title? It's just sad. You turn a credible heel, a credible monster female, into a little girl who just wanted retribution from a monster heel in a Alexa Bliss who's 5 foot freaking tall. What terrible booking. It's just, I'm moving on. Now, the U.S. title. Oh, I gotta do this one. This one didn't anger me. It just made me freaking laugh because I know everyone is freaking angry right now. They are fucking enraged right now. I am loving this. I am not a Jinder Mahal fan. I told you guys, the only thing I cared about was that they gave jobbers a chance. I've said this over and over again, and I know one of my subscribers, I think his first name is George, he hates Jinder. I don't blame you, fine. Please, don't mind me laughing about you being angry. I'm not trying to insult you. I am just laughing because I didn't expect this to happen, and I know how angry everybody is. I am not a Jinder Mahal fan. I am not. But it's fucking funny that they let another run happen under Jinder Mahal. I knew Jinder Mahal was not great from the beginning. Only thing I cared about that they gave a jobber a chance to go into the main title scene to be seen, in the hopes maybe they get something. I know his mic skills suck. I know this bullshit of him doesn't work. He's too freaking stiff. He does not make everyone happy. I see him as a credible jobber. That's where I see him as. No matter how many people hate him, he is able to work. Doesn't mean he works well, but he can work. But I did not expect them to mess up the best time to have Rusev win. This is what it comes down to. And Aiden English, my boy, I love that man. That man made Rusev Day credible. He sang his ass off. This is rapping, and then this is Rusev Day. He's been in my face all this time. I love that man. He, even if he can't work well in the ring, he is such a great manager. He's like, he reminds me of Paul Ellery. Precious Paul was a good wrestler, but he became a massively great manager. And I see Aiden English as a good wrestler and can become a great manager if he's given that run. And he has had it and he's been working it. But then here's this. You basically could have turned Rusev face here, WWE. The people want him face. And you freaking blow it for Jinder Mahal. What the blue fuck is wrong with you? It makes me freaking laugh my ass off, knowing full well everyone is going to be angry. But then, they're angry because Jinder Mahal became champ. I'm angry because Rusev should have been turned face and gained the damn title. This is where I'm angry. That Rusev should have been turned face and this would have been his moment. Nope. They give us this. Fucking stupid. And I cannot believe they went there. Here's another match that made no fucking sense. That shouldn't have been happening. Usos versus New Day versus Bludgeon Brothers. And the New Day came out with little people dancing their ass off. And the little people were wearing pancake suits. I don't know if I got a shot of it. If I do, it's in my face. What? That was stupid. And so was this match. Well, I'll say this. Them coming down with the guys in pancake suits was stupid and funny. Even if no one liked it. It was stupid but kind of funny. This was not funny. This was plain stupid. That you had the Usos come out in the middle. And the Bludgeon Brothers come out last. Which telegraphed what was going to happen. Which made it even worse that the match was already not great. Because you let the Usos come out in the middle. And the Bludgeon Brothers win. Which made no freaking sense. Where, mind you, they were hyping up that the Usos finally got their WrestleMania moment. That have a match on WrestleMania for so many years they never had it on the main card. Maybe they had it on a kickoff if they even were lucky to get on the kickoff. But no. They lose here. Well, I think it would have been better for the Usos to win. Yeah, it would have been a kind of a copy of what happened about 2 weeks ago when the Usos went up against New Day, but they didn't get a chance to finish it because the Bludgeon Brothers interfered. But in this case, it didn't feel right that the Bludgeon Brothers won here. One, Luke never spoke. They just went after whatever they went after, and it would have been better if someone said something about them having what they want. Even the fucking Undertaker made sure he knew, everyone knew what his intentions were. When it comes to the Bludgeon Brothers, they don't say a fucking thing, which makes them irrelevant. Sometimes someone has to say a word. And when you say nothing sometimes and almost have... It just didn't work. Now, the match I know a lot of people talking about that they're praising. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan versus the two non-employed SmackDown Live roster members and a Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I know I didn't have to go there, but I did. Well, you guys, it wasn't a bad match. I'm not saying it was a great match. It was not a bad match. This was the first match for Daniel Bryan coming back. It was a bit clunky. And I know people can say it was perfect. It was not perfect with Daniel Bryan. And it definitely wasn't perfect with Shane McMahon, who still was suffering from a hernia. The guy had surgery because of a hernia. Or, no, not hernia. Herniated disc, I believe. He was not 100%. So they didn't make the match any better. But I'm not saying the match was bad. It was okay. It was good for what it was. Trying to introduce people to Daniel Bryan again. That was the key of it. Daniel Bryan, in the very beginning of it, before they even got into a match, got his ass handed to him by Sami and Kevin. And that really made the catalyst for the rest of the match, because Shane had to deal with it by himself, who was still suffering from a hernia. Herniated disc, I believe. He was still suffering from that. So he tried to play it up more than probably what it was. And I'm not saying he wasn't feeling real pain. He probably was still feeling pain because the surgery was only a couple of weeks ago. He probably wasn't fully recovered. But he did make it the best he could. And I will applaud him for doing that. Still recovering from surgery. No matter how minor it was or major, it was still surgery, and I commend him for that. Doing a coast-to-coast on, I believe, Sami Zane, that's something you don't normally do when you have this type of condition. You shouldn't be doing it. And hopefully it didn't make his herniated disc or whatever worse. But once Daniel Bryan got into it, everyone got into him. He generally did a good job. But I'm not going to say that he wasn't ring rusty. He had ring rust. It wasn't great amount of ring rust. It was a bit minor. He seemed to be a little sloppy. But it does not mean it was 100% bad. And I'm not saying it was. So in the end, Shane and Daniel win. And in the end, we now see Kevin and Sami gone from SmackDown Live, and they'll be ending up on Raw sooner or later. Let's move on. The New Day. No, not New Day. I just said the New Day. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember everything. There's so much freaking content. Oh, if anyone else could remember, even with notes, I commend them. This is not easy. You pretty much had... here. Let me move my other notes, because I have 3 sets of notes. It's a lot. I want to make sure I didn't forget. Am I forgetting anything? No. Okay. The Bar versus, oh my gosh, I think this was a funny WrestleMania moment. The Bar versus Braun Strowman and Nicholas. What the fuck? He's in my face. He's in my face. This was priceless. No one expected him to do this. Now, either that kid, he's in the corner right there, either that kid is Braun Strowman's nephew. I don't think he has any children. I don't think Braun Strowman has any children. So maybe that's a relative of his. Maybe that's his cousin's kid or nephew. Who knows? Maybe it was one of the other wrestlers' kids. I don't know. But the point is, he had no real partner. So he's saying he's going to get someone from the audience. And there were people saying, pick me. I can do it for you. Let me do this for you, boy. Let me have it. It was funny. Until he pulled out Nicholas. And then it became freaking hilarious. It was beyond stupid. It was beyond stupid to see this. But you know what? It worked. And in the end, the Bar loses. And Braun Strowman and Nicholas are your new Raw Tag Team Champions. What? What is this going to be about? You see, I'm laughing my ass off. What is this going to be like this Monday on Raw? Is Nicholas going to be there? My guess is no. He's not going to be there, because unless he is a relative of one of the wrestlers or one of the staff in the back, he's not going to be there. Braun Strowman will probably come out with one title, and then Kurt is going to give him another one to compensate for that, because he's not going to let a kid be in the ring with him. That's the only way this is going to work. It has to be. It's got to be that way. And I'm just laughing my ass off. Now, oh yeah, dang it, I wasn't supposed to put that there. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Next to last, Ronda Rousey and Kurt versus Steph and Triple H. This was the other match that I thought was going to be interesting. There was one major problem that was going on in this match, and it was Ronda herself. She decided to choose some clothes that seemed to be simple, but there was a major problem because they were too short on her, and every few minutes when she moved, her clothes rode up. She needed to have better clothes. Now mind you, this is her first wrestling match and her first WrestleMania, and she didn't really think through if the clothes wouldn't give her a problem of riding up constantly. Hopefully after this, she'll get better ring attire that will work with her, and she doesn't have to worry about every 5 minutes adjusting herself. Because that's what was happening. Her clothes constantly kept riding up on her. I think her boobs were ready to pop out of her top. And she don't have much boobs. So in the end, that was the major thing I saw. That was a problem. The rest of the match, it was fine. I liked that match. It was fun. Because you see Ronda getting angry and showing emotion, which she played into. She is inexperienced, and she allowed her emotions to get the better of her, which makes sense. Then, you got the point in the match when Ronda got angry, tried to go after both of them. Kurt couldn't deal with it anymore, and then eventually, Ronda was able to get tagged in. When she was tagged in, she went after Steph, and then the part I loved the most. Once Steph was out of the situation and it was just Triple H and Ronda, Triple H told the ref to step back. She wants this, let her have it, this is what she wants. And she basically teed off on his ass. That I enjoyed. Letting her MMA background be seen. And basically Triple H acting like a scared little kid going, ah, ow, no, ow. That really made the match for me personally. That bit right there. And the final part of the match, once Triple H was thrown out of the ring with Kurt, and I have a feeling that Kurt and Triple H are not done yet. They're going to probably have another match, maybe a SummerSlam together. And maybe Steph and Ron are going to have a SummerSlam match as well. But when it came down to it, when it was finally time to snap that arm, and Ronda kept trying to put the armbar on both of them, it came down to Steph saying, no, and then she pulled back and snapped that sucker clean. And she won the match. Many people thought that Steph was going to win the match over Ronda. But Ronda won the match, which was the wisest thing to do. She had a lot of momentum, and she got it. And that was the best way to book that match. I'll probably go back and see it again because I did enjoy it. It had its flaws because Ronda is an amateur in the wrestling business. She doesn't know how to do all her moves properly. She needs more training, but as time goes on, she'll improve. And Kurt is Kurt. So I was alright with that. Almost forgot. Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. I almost forgot that match. I would be angry at myself when I'm editing this if I forgot. I will be angry. But Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles were second to last match. And I'm not going to make it very long. This video is going to be at least 40 or 45 minutes long. I've never done a video this long before, so I don't want to make this too long. But did I enjoy the match? I felt like it was one of the best worked match of the night. The people cared more about that than the majority of the matches, except for when Daniel Bryan was wrestling. Now understand, it was about Daniel Bryan. It was only about Daniel Bryan. This was about both of them. So this was the second most important match of the night when it came to ring work. Because everyone was wondering if Daniel can still go, and he can go, well fine. But this was one of the best worked matches. And it was the second most cheered match of the night. It just was. In the end, you had a lot of great counters, a lot of great work. It wasn't too high flying, which I enjoyed. If they had way too much high flying, I would have said this was a bad match. Were they selling enough? They sold just barely enough. Admittedly, they were both kind of holding back on selling each other, but it's understandable in this respect, you couldn't have them both sell completely. There had to be some type of situation where they had to sell less because they were both more important to people because of their exposure in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they don't sell a lot there. It's a lot of non-selling in New Japan. And I'm not bashing it. That's the way it works there. But in this match, they had to sell less than normal. That's understandable. And I did enjoy the match a lot. It was the best worked match. Literally was. Sorry for the noise. It's pretty late. In the end, AJ Styles won the match. And to be honest, I thought Shinsuke should have been the one to win the match. Honestly, I did think he should have won that match. It would have been better for him since Asuka didn't win her match, which was stupid. But I understood it. It was okay that Shinsuke lost that match because it was a really good match. But what made the match great wasn't about the ring work. It was about what happened after the match. When Shinsuke was kneeling to AJ to present him his belt, to show him respect. They hugged each other, which I thought was okay. Ugh! You see it in my damn face. I didn't even need to show what I was doing, the show of getting whacked in the nuts. You see it in my freaking face if I got the shot. AJ Styles gets hit in the gonads by Shinsuke out of frustration. I am so hoping this is Shinsuke turning heel because he needed to turn heel. This makes perfect sense. Shinsuke is an eccentric nut. And he believes that there's no one better than him. His eccentricness is his key. And he just lost to AJ Styles on the biggest stage of them all. He had to get pissed. And he beat the crap out of AJ. Gave him King Shaska. He kept kicking him in the head. He kept kicking him in the back. Done. That is how you turn someone heel. I'm hoping they build on top of this on SmackDown Live, which I don't know if they will because Road Dogg is booking this shit. I gotta say this 100% right now. I'm so sorry for all the cursing throughout this entire thing. I had to think about this, and I've been cursing so much. This show got me angry, got me frustrated, and I love it in some cases. Not in all cases, just in some cases like this, I love the heel turn. I'm just hoping they'll actually make it something. Because it may not be much. Because of how they book people. But this is the best thing they could have done for AJ and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, the end of the show, which was nearly at 12 o'clock. What do we got? Brock versus the Roman Reigns. You know how many F5s Brock gave Roman? 6. I think Roman Reigns gave about 3 or 4 or 5 Superman punches and 2 to 3 spears throughout this match. That is how it was. Was the match competitive? To a certain extent, yes. But I gotta say this about Brock. Brock did not look good. He looked freaking tanked. About 8 minutes into the match, he tanked out. You see his ass sweating like a bitch. He's breathing heavier than Roman Reigns is. Brock needs Brock really is badly out of shape when it comes to wrestling. Him doing these things once every couple of months or maybe half a year is screwing up how the match looks. The guy needs to have more practice in the ring so he looks more fit, so it's more believable. Ergo, what happened with The Undertaker? But in the end, he did do a decent job. And in the end... oh, fuck. I know everyone is ecstatic. Those who are angry at Jinder Mahal winning will be ecstatic at this. Knowing that Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns when everyone believed and knew that they weren't going to book that. They believed it and they knew in their hearts that Roman Reigns was going to win. The Lex Man wanted this to happen because he wanted it over. I said this many, many months ago when the steroid situation popped up about someone saying that Roman Reigns could have actually gotten steroids from the guy that was talked about in a documentary. I said there was a good possibility they would not go with Roman Reigns. I said this. I said that he may actually be sanctioned for this. He may be treated badly for this. And no one really said I was wrong. But I knew repeating it over and over again would not mean much because I had no evidence that they were going to go there. Well, guess what? They did. As I predicted Matt Hardy winning, I said this many, many months ago, and guess what? It happened. Roman Reigns, who got busted wide open by Brock Lesnar, giving him elbows to his head, in the end, lost. I'm not a big Roman Reigns fan, but I'm not a hater either. This was shocking. a WrestleMania moment that everyone is going to love. Because you know what this could be? This could finally be Roman Reigns' heel turn. He's been a face for quite a while. He's not worked. This could be the catalyst for him to turn heel. So when he goes into SummerSlam, and when he does win the title, he'll be a bad guy. This is what could happen. I don't know if it will, but it could happen. And if it does happen, it'll make sense. So this WrestleMania wasn't great. But let's be honest, it wasn't bad either. It was a good WrestleMania. It was not a great or spectacular WrestleMania. In most cases, it didn't outstrip TakeOver New Orleans. New Orleans had better matches in most cases, but in this case, it was good. It wasn't incredible and it wasn't great. It was a good WrestleMania. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below. Have a good day. Have a good night. And if you saw the rest of this is going up to almost 40 minutes. I hope you understand. I'm sorry it's so long. There's so much to go through. Oh my gosh. 7 hours and 5 minutes. I'm exhausted. And I still got to edit this damn thing. Peace.